What if the path to living a more vibrant and empowered life, full color, wasn't about doing more, but doing things in a way that matters? Welcome to the Full Color Wellness Podcast with Kat and Dr. Cynthia, where conversations are real and unfiltered. Together, we drop perfection and buzzwords, get curious about ancient ways and modern trends, and explore a version of health that isn't one size fits all, but personal and beautifully human. Are you ready to say yes? Let's dive in. Thank you for joining us today. We thought it would be fun to explore the idea of being quiet for our first episode this season.
We do realize it's ironic asking you to listen to us talk about why it's important to just be quiet.
Yeah, but we went with it anyways.
We think it's important. So let's get started. I'm going to ask Kat a question to start us off. I'm going to ask, what was your first big aha moment when you realized quiet is actually pretty important to your health journey?
Well, we're going to have to time travel for half a second. There are so many pictures of me starting around age 3 where I'm carrying around this little wind-up Care Bear radio. And I always had it on. And it pretty much was indicative of most of my life. I always had music or TV or some kind of noise happening. And I never really understood that it was basically a security blanket until I got a lot older. So in my 30s, I started going through therapy, as we do, and I started healing, as we hope to do. And one day, I'm outside for hours working on this project, and I get done, and I take a deep breath, and that's when I realized, holy shit, like I had no music on for hours outside. And there were so many instances during that project where I just stood and looked at the world around me and breathed. And I think that is when I started to truly understand that quiet for me is kind of my indicator of mental health, because I was avoiding it, because when I was quiet, that's when all the mean voices would kind of like run in, right?
Negative thoughts and negative comments.
You're too tall, you're too short, you're not pretty, nobody likes you, right? So I avoided the quiet. But through the therapy, I got rid of those mean voices, and now all of a sudden, like, quiet actually feels pretty good. Yeah. How about you? What was your aha moment?
My aha moment was a few years ago, and at the time I was dealing with probably some of the most difficult emotions I've ever dealt with in my life. And so I set about doing everything I could think of to avoid dealing with them, to avoid thinking about them.
Yeah.
Kind of like what you were saying, you wanted to silence those voices. I was trying to silence these emotions, essentially. And I would try and wear myself out. I would go to the gym. I would have back-to-back activities. And that's after, working all day and things of that nature. I was even I was playing Mahjong on my phone before I was going to sleep. So it was running right up until bedtime, trying to wear myself out. But it turned out I would just then sleep like absolute crap. I'd wake up exhausted.
I mean, you should have been exhausted and have been able to sleep, right?
Exactly, but I think everything I wasn't dealing with during the day didn't go away. It just then kind of racked my brain while I was sleeping. And so I was restless and not sleeping well. And I finally decided to take my own advice, because I am a psychologist, and I've taught the progressive muscle relaxation and deep breathing and all these things. I finally just laid there one night and did a deep breathing exercise, and I fell asleep, and it was really helpful. What I found was that quiet at that moment was letting things come through my mind. It wasn't an empty mind, but it was letting thoughts come and go and not judging or things like that with them. So it really it helped me to release some of that. So quiet was really important.
So quiet was kind of like your medicine for just calming your whole system down.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like that. So we've talked about this, obviously, in preparation for the podcast, and we realized that we both see quiet come up in our different focus areas, mine being ancient wisdom and hers modern insight. And we thought we might share some of the thoughts we had about how we see quiet show up for us.
My perspective is I think we live in a very different world than what our body systems were built for. Thinking way back, our body systems were built to detect danger. We had to listen very attentively. The world around us was relatively quiet. But we had to listen for those changes because something was going to eat us, right?
Yeah.
Or something was going to harm us. And then if you did get injured or hurt, you went into the cave by yourself, or you went into the tent by yourself, and you were kind of left to heal, and your body would heal itself. We've kind of lost that thought that the body can heal itself, but it really can. So today, these systems still work this way, but our perceptions of danger and the noises and things in our environment have completely changed. What do we do when we get an email? It's like, oh my God, who's that from? I have to deal with this. Or the stresses we hear, or the noises we hear outside our home, and sirens and different things. And all of these things are triggering our system in some way, right? But they're not quote unquote dangers, but they are stressors to us. And so instead of going in the cave or going in our room and laying down and relaxing and calming our system, what do we do when we're stressed? We grab a drink.
Maybe.
Maybe we rack our brains as to what our favorite Ben and Jerry's flavor is as we go to get the pint of ice cream we're going to eat, right?
Yeah.
We binge TV shows. So we think we're relaxing, but we're still taking in stimuli and taking in these things that don't really help our body. We weren't built to sustain this level of chronic stress. And we eventually get to a point when we need some kind of significant help. And then now we're looking at going to take medications to mask the symptoms, and we're still not treating the cause. The real good free medicine is just simple quiet.
Yeah.
Rest.
Yeah. I like how you brought up how, we're not designed to live in this level of chronic stress, but no animal out there is designed to sustain a life or any quality of life with this level of chronic stress. And we kind of do it to ourselves. So we're going to use an example. Let's all picture, you two listeners, picture a deer outside grazing, enjoying their evening meal of whatever fresh new plants you've planted for them. Maybe the roses that they like to eat.
Or ones you didn't plant for them.
Yeah. Well, I never plant for them, but they eat them anyways. So anyways, the deer's out there eating. And maybe there's someone hunting in the field next door, and they shoot. And it startles the deer, and the deer runs away. Oh, crap. But if we could, fly a drone and follow that deer, we would see that 10 minutes later, the deer feels safe, and it goes back to grazing. And here's the really cool part. This is the thing that we don't do as humans. The deer isn't thinking about what just happened. It's not like, oh, I should have run left instead of right, or what did I do to upset the hunter? They don't think about it. They check out of it. And we, unfortunately, don't do that. So not only do we respond to the stimuli that's happening right in front of us, but we actually repeat it. Right. We sit there and we're
focus. Plagued with memory.
Yes.
And to be able to think to forward thinking. So
yeah.
we have these, and we're sandwiched with stress, right?
And our body doesn't understand the difference, right? Whether the stressful thing is happening right now or it happened 5 years ago and we're thinking about it, our body experiences it real time. So it's just, something to keep in mind, something to be aware of, and another excuse to try to detach from overthinking and planning and worrying too much. This is usually when I remind people that quiet is what happens when we're present. We have to turn off the external stimuli in the moment, but we also have to turn off what happened in the past and what happens in the future, potentially. Just quiet is literally the present moment.
The quiet doesn't mean no thoughts in your head, right?
Yeah.
It just means kind of letting them come and go.
It's giving them space for things to kind of come up and to maybe be curious about them for a moment, not judgy, but curious, and then just kind of letting them pass, accepting and releasing kind of a thing. Another thing that's kind of cool about quiet when we look at it through the lens of Qigong or traditional Chinese medicine is they say that stillness, quiet, it's not empty. It's actually alive. What's going on in that quiet moment is all this beautiful energy, this qi that's kind of moving through us naturally. When we're thinking, right? When we're worrying and we're overthinking and we're responding to stimuli, we stop the flow of that energy, right? It's Pepe Le Pew, right? We grab it and we love it so much, right? We just love life. Life is amazing. But when we relax, right? When we let quiet in, that energy really starts to move and get going because the quiet is giving us a chance to listen and hear what's going on with our inner rhythm. So we have a question for the listeners. Do you want to ask it?
Yeah, we're curious. When was the last time you sat in quiet long enough to hear your own thoughts?
And you're welcome for that few seconds to try it out.
Okay, so now we get to nerd out a little bit and talk about some of the science of things. The first one is dopamine. So that's the feel-good stuff. Everybody's pretty much heard about dopamine. A lot of antidepressants focus on dopamine, right? Increase it, feel better, feel good.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
So a lot of what we do gives us these quick, unique, exciting hits. So think about TikToks. You're scrolling through, ha ha ha, that one was so funny. Click to the next one, and it's different. And it's something unique and excites you. Like I said, giving you these tiny bits of dopamine. And as you keep doing this, you build up a tolerance, right? Then you want more of it.
Yeah.
And so you get into this cycle, and the cycle continues, and it gets harder and harder to rest your mind. I mean, essentially, we're little addicts.
Yeah.
Running around trying to get pops of
dope.
Pops of dope. Yeah, exactly. So it's very similar. Another thing I wanted to mention is attention fatigue. We have so many demands for our attention. We don't think about it anymore, but you're constantly deciding what to attend to, what you're filtering out. Just as an easy example, it happens all the time. I'm trying to focus on a document at work that I have to review, and there's pings of emails, right? And you try and turn those down. And then there's chats coming in, and they pop up. So visually, you're distracted by the pops. My dogs are wrestling.
Super fun.
Super fun. Every now and then there's kind of delivery trucks or something going by on our street. I want to look out the window. It's pretty. Leaves are falling. So there's all these things going on. Again, we're constantly focusing and filtering. And Mark Manson,
who we love,
who wrote, as many know, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a
F-U-C-K.
He said, attention's the new currency, right? If you think of all the companies vying for your attention, so all of this leads to fatigue. Fatigue can have some negative impact. For example, you can have trouble concentrating, you have trouble paying attention, you have trouble listening, work, decreased performance and productivity, and on and on.
Yeah.
Lifestyle changes, breaks, quiet
breaks
can help. So all of these things can help reset, calm you down, let you start over.
Yeah, like a little reboot.
Exactly.
A free one.
A free reboot.
Yeah, love it. So who might give this kind of like extra consideration? Like we say we want to talk about trends, we want to talk about insights, but we want to dial it in and help people see like how is it relative to them and their personality and what they have going on.
Sure. So some people are more sensitive to dopamine. It's just biologically we're different. Our neurological system's different. You're more sensitive to dopamine. And you might be more driven by reward. You like those kudos, those attaboys. You like new challenges. You might excel in a fast-paced environment or at creative things. All good. But you can burn out when you get too overstimulated. So you need the quiet times to rejuvenate. Does that make sense? And also, people sometimes tend to dig in and really go to town on something. I'm like this. I love to research things or spend a lot of time focusing on things. You're mentally persistent, you're detail focused, etc. And that can deplete you from that over focus. The point is you need to balance these things, which are positive, but burn you out, wear you down, with rest and quiet so that you can build back up.
Yeah. I like how you mentioned, sort of the people that are into new challenges and they excel in these like fast-paced creative areas, because I feel like you really described me. And one of the tools that I use to get the quiet time I need without burning out is I literally schedule it. I mean, we have in our monthly calendar, it says no plans, all capital letters and underlined. And we commit to that. We don't make plans because we know that I need the lack of activity. I need the ability to detach from whatever goals I'm trying to accomplish or whatever piece of art that I'm working on. It's really important. So scheduling, when you are someone who likes to do so many things, scheduling in the time can be really helpful. And, the other one you talked about, the ones that hyper focus, that's more you.
Me, totally.
So what have you been doing to insert that quiet into your life?
Well, I share that calendar with you, so
yeah.
I also put no plans on that.
Yeah.
But I've also been trying to take some time, really just between when I wake up and before I go to bed, I try and take some time and do some breathing. I try and take some pauses during the day. One of the things I try and do is sit quietly and eat some meals now. Yeah. Because I eat so much at my desk. And I'm still guilty of that often, but I try and be more conscious about that and, take some quiet time during the day.
So like more intentional exercises that are kind of littered in throughout the day so that it disrupts your hyper-focused state.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've given each other permission, right, to kind of jolt the other one out of wherever we're at. And I think having a partner in crime with you on this journey that you trust to have good intentions when they try to call you out is probably one of our biggest pillars of support that we use in our health journey. I want to talk about something that people are often surprised when I teach this in class. And it's this idea that quiet can also help with hormone regulation, right? There's a connection between the two. So yin is an energetic concept. You have yin and yang. We've seen the circle with the black on one side and the white on the other and the little dots. This is actually a symbolic representation of two key energies, yang, which is very dynamic, and yin, which is very quiet and calm, which is what we're talking about today. When we bring yin in, when we do exercises or activities that increase our level of yin within our bodies, we actually increase our body's hormonal intelligence. So what I mean by that is yin practices provide moisture, they provide stillness and grounding. And when the body has these three things energetically, it allows our body's kind of natural rhythms, like our endocrine system, emotional system, and energetic systems, to find balance again. So I want to give you an example because I know this is kind of a complex concept. The liver, right? We know we all have a liver in our body. In traditional Chinese medicine, this organ is what is responsible for ensuring the smooth flow of energy and blood through our systems. And these are key components to circulating our hormones throughout our body. So when the yin, and therefore the blood, is nourished, the liver is able to do its job of metabolizing those hormones effectively. And one of the ways you can tell that your yin energy may be depleted and that your liver energy is kind of stagnating, especially as a woman, is we're experiencing PMS. But men and women can also both experience irritability, mood swings. For women only, again, sometimes you can have kind of irregular cycles come up. So if you're battling with these challenges right now, introducing more quiet into your life is one way to nourish and bring in quiet. And you can literally just Google yin nourishing exercises. You can do that too. Quiet is also very important to our emotional resilience. So yin has this sort of, I mentioned earlier, it has moisture. It's actually a cooling nature, okay? And we want to think about like a beautiful river, right? It's cool, it feels nice as it runs past us. We feel very calm when we sit next to it and listen to the current. And when we think about yang, very dynamic, yang is also very hot. It's like a fire, right? So we want to keep those things in balance. So this cooling nature of yin can balance that excess yang. And again, when it's out of balance, we're back to experiencing irritability, frustration, anger. We tend to burn out. And that yin becomes depleted from this chronic stress and this overexertion that we were talking about earlier. Your mind and your body will kind of run hot. Like you will literally feel inflamed and overstimulated, and you're going to be really quick to react. So when we can calm it down with the yin and bring in the quiet, it's going to improve your emotional resilience. It's pretty cool. The last thing I want to mention is this intentional stillness is also supportive of our mental clarity. So the yin energy is what allows time to draw our awareness inward, right? This is the time of the year where we encourage people to do practices that are reflective, that are intuitive, and they just feel spacious. Inviting that stillness is allowing our emotions to be observed rather than acted upon. I mean, how many times have we heard, just take a breath?
Yeah, count to 10.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, we've done it, right? So we've seen already that this stillness is creating that mental clarity. And where emotional clarity is emerging from is not from controlling your emotions, okay? We're not telling you to do that. We're telling you to have this inner quiet so that you can witness those emotions and understand them and maybe hold back a little bit on immediately acting upon them.
And I think hopefully listening to this helps bring some awareness to realizing what's going on with you, because that's the first step.
Yeah.
You know, I've gotten to the point where I can realize I'm getting irritable and I'll put myself down for a rest, right? Because I need to, I don't like the way I'm feeling or the way I'm thinking about responding to someone. Mm-hmm. And I just need to step back. And it's often just, I'm fatigued, I'm worn out.
Yep. I mean, one of my own internal rules is I don't respond to communications when I'm angry. You know, I need to take a breath and I need to really think about where is that anger coming from. And that has helped me so many different ways, you know, personally and professionally, and just how I see myself as a human being. So,
absolutely.
Yep. So don't worry, we have some full color takeaways for you this episode. I want to return back to that bio-individuality with what we're talking about. So quiet. People often think that means meditation. I cannot tell you how many clients I have worked with that starting out the gate, meditation is not a good fit for them.
I'm going to call out Mae Martin too, if anybody knows she is. We listen to her podcast.
We don't know her. We'd like to.
Listen to her on her Handsome podcast. And I've heard her say that she just can't meditate.
Yeah.
She, you know, I can't, for whatever reason. The stillness is too much, you know, thoughts pop into your head and things of that nature. So I thought this would be good for her too. Yeah,
I mean, that was me 10 years ago. The idea of meditation, all those mean voices rushed in. It was horrible. It was so bad for me. But I have good news, right? For the listeners that this is resonating for myself 10 years ago, and for Mae Martin, moving meditation, okay? I have a beautiful golden ball Qigong exercise. It's on our YouTube channel. We'll put it in the notes. But it's a moving meditation. It's a repetitive movement with some breath work, and it allows your mind to just sort of relax, and it brings quiet into your mind and your body and your spirit. I absolutely love it. It was a total game changer for me, this idea of moving meditation.
Something that I've recognized that I think is very helpful is because we're talking about rest, we're talking about quiet, and people might think, I don't have 20 minutes, I don't have, you know, this time to rest. And
I can't do more.
Yeah, you don't have to. Yeah, it's like a task, another task to do. But you don't have to think of it that way. You don't reframe that. You don't have to think of it as taking so much time. You can pause between activities. Just give yourself a minute to rest, breathe between activities. Mm-hmm. So you come home from work. What do? You drop your stuff. You change clothes, you start dinner, you put music on, you scarf up some food, you talk to some people, and then you sit down and watch your show. Now you've just shifted between all these things, and you haven't paused at all.
Yeah.
And I've done this.
I feel like you just wore 4 different hats. So you're the worker, you're the fashionista, you are the home cook, you are the TV critic. Right? You just did all those roles back to back.
Fashionista is a little deep.
Okay.
You know.
Sweatpants count.
Sweatpants, yeah. But it's so many things that you do. And if you think about how your day is, you know, maybe you pull up to your house, sit in your car for a minute.
Yeah.
Take a breath. Relax. Go in. Just take these little pauses between activities. And if you do that, that's rest. That's quiet, at least for a little bit. It gives your body a little time.
Yeah. I like you bringing up when you get home, taking a moment just to sit in your car. Growing up, my dad, I mean, he was your typical 16-hour-a-day, super hard worker, you know, completely looked up for him. And he would come home to 3 kids and a wife, and we're on a totally different wavelength than him. And it wasn't always smooth, right? He would have really stressful days and come home, and he'd still be in work brain. And we're all in family brain until he, all on his own, adopted this rule where he would come home and he would sit in quiet in his truck for just a minute or two. And it made such a difference in him being able to transition from work dad to Superman family dad, right? So it is really helpful, and you don't have to be a woman to try some of these tools. They're impactful for everybody. I mentioned earlier how quiet is being present. That's a fantastic concept. Sometimes it is hard to know how do you get present. So we're going to break it down for you. Super easy. Just start with observing your environment in the moment that you're in. Use the 5 senses. Ask yourself, what am I smelling right now? What am I hearing right now? What do I see? What do I taste? And what am I touching right now? This will bring everything into the present moment. It's a fantastic exercise. It takes 30 seconds. And guess what? You don't even have to do it out loud. No one has to know what you're doing. Yeah.
We've also had this thread going through, we've mentioned a couple times about being curious with your thoughts and not judgy. And I think that's super important. So sitting with your thoughts, let them come into your mind. They're okay, right? It's okay to have thoughts. You're not your thoughts. Yeah. You might have some seemingly to yourself even wackadoodle thoughts. That's okay. And you're like, where did that come from? You know, as these thoughts pass through your head, you could think, that's interesting. Well, why is that coming up for me right now? And give it a second and then let it pass, right? Or spend as much time with it as you want. But don't battle your thoughts. It's the resistance that often creates a lot of this tension and this avoidance. Just let them come. Think about them for a second if you like. Process them out. Let them go.
Yep. Curious and not judgy. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you want to dive deeper, remember to check out the link for the golden ball, that moving meditation. We did drop it in the show notes for you. We also want to keep exploring this path together. Please, 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 sugar on top, drop a comment and let us know if we were able to help you find some quiet. Or you can just tell us like what trend or topic you want us to start exploring. Before you leave, please share the wealth of health by liking and subscribing to our channel. And remember, this is your journey. It's all about taking these small, meaningful steps towards a healthier, happier you. Full color. Until next time, say yes to your well-being and take care. The content of this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. Please consult a licensed healthcare provider before beginning any new health practice. Do not ignore or delay seeking medical advice because of something shared in this episode. If you're experiencing a medical emergency, call 911 or visit your nearest emergency room. Listening does not create a practitioner-client relationship. Yes to Holistic Health makes no guarantees regarding outcomes based on the information provided. Copyright notice, Yes to Holistic Health, all rights reserved. This content may be shared for non-profit educational purposes with credit to Yes to Holistic Health. No commercial use without written permission.